Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle. We'll now be joined by my co-host for this interview. We're going to upload this with our live stream later on today. But to kind of recap the Eagles game on Saturday, the big fight that happened, and also previewing Christmas Day. Good friend of this show, long time since we've last talked to him, Mr. Mike Callow. Thank you for joining me on this Monday afternoon, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, Kyle. How you doing, man?
I can't complain. It's the holiday season. Everyone is in a happy, chipper mood, except for those that were on the field on Saturday night, which goes into my kind of question to you. Is like, the fan base has had these sort of questions regarding Dan Quinn's kind of mindset going into that, where he talked about couldn't wait to see the Eagles again, right? Because I think a lot of that pertains to that 2-point conversion. Do you think that there is mustard to that? I understand the Rick Doc Walker way of thinking of, if you don't like it, stop it. But there is an element to it where you're kind of being rubbed, your face is being rubbed into the dirt a little bit.
Yeah, one, I think it's worth noting, Dan Quinn did back off of it yesterday a little bit at his press conference. It did get, lost a little bit since the presser happened during all the 1:00 games. So right. I understand, like, a lot of people didn't see that. But to be fair, I don't know. One, it's an NFC East rivalry game, right? Like, these are never, normal games, so to speak. But I think there's a lot of arguments both sides here. One, the Eagles are saying, oh, well, we just wanted to go up by an extra possession, whatever. I mean, I get it, but, like, Josh Johnson was in at quarterback. Like,
I know, right?
And let's be real here, too. Look at the Commanders' decision-making in that game. I was in the stands on Saturday night, and they gave up. And I don't mean that in the sense of the players themselves gave up. They punted on 2 very fourth and manageable downs. But because Johnson was in the game, they're banged up. The season's going the way that it is. They were not really, like, trying to make this any closer than it was. And honestly, too, if I'm Nick Sirianni, don't you want your kicker to make an easy kick before you head into the next game? Like, that's kind of my argument
right
going into that extra point. So I think, one, I'll just say this out of the way. I hate Nick Sirianni. I think he's a douchebag regardless. So, like, I'm not surprised this is kind of how it went. Like, you have to be a certain kind of individual to hire your own security guy, Big Dom, to follow you around in a certain city. So I think there's a lot of firepower going both ways. But I think here's the key, and I think maybe I'm burying it and maybe, like, I'm going too much into it. I think Dan Quinn wants to bury it right now, because he kind of knows this team's compromised, right? Like, they might have their third quarterback on the field by the time they play Philly next time, and there's nothing he can really do about what's about to happen in 2 weeks. I think this gets unearthed next year. Like, if they play each other in maybe the first month of the season, maybe it gets brought back up again. But I think Dan Quinn's trying to play it down a little bit, because he's going, I don't need to get into it this year, but next year, let's go ahead and do this. So I think, yes, Philly was definitely in the wrong, and I think he's just trying to say, let's calm this down before my players get fined and suspended, and I'm not trying to lose money out of their paychecks.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, we all know that the fight that followed the 2-point conversion, and I've always been under the belief you don't fight after the whistle. It's during the whistles when you actually get it done. That way, you're not really held to fines, and do it in a legal way, so to speak,
sure.
And be able to win in that sort of regard. If you are that frustrated, get it done there. But the injuries continue to be a thing. It seems like ever since game 1 all the way through now, the injuries continue to pile up. And today, Dan Quinn released that they have brought in Jeff Driscoll, a familiar face from last season, which I think says a lot about what they think of Sam Hartman, in the sense that there is zero confidence there. Just to be honest with you, not trying to pile on the good-looking man, Sam. But if going into this game against the Cowboys, I mean, that is Josh Johnson's game, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think you go with the veteran, despite him not looking great. And the few times we've seen him, let's just be honest here. I'm with you. It says a lot about Hartman. And I know Hartman in preseason had come off shoulder surgery and had no strength there. It does tell you, though, that he hasn't made much progress in the year, that they're not even willing to give him a meaningless game or have the faith that he could take over for Johnson. And I get it. Undrafted guy. He studies hard. Let's be honest here, too. He probably makes the roster because he is friends with Jaden. I think there's a legit, part of that. Yeah. But it tells a lot about Hartman. And look, I always say this, especially during preseason, when we're talking about the second and third, fourth quarterbacks, it means the season has gone off the rails in a way that we are nitpicking. And so we've unfortunately arrived at that point of the season, which sucks, but it does say Hartman, they cannot trust him. And it's one thing that I've said about Mariota. I know there's a lot of discourse about Mariota. He's always good for one turnover a game, and it's the Marcus Mariota experience, but he can run the offense. Like, I don't feel like Terry McLaurin is losing reps out there or Deebo Samuel's losing reps out there. We've hit the point where it doesn't really matter who plays, that this offense is now officially compromised. Hartman is probably at this point still a very big project for this team.
I absolutely agree with you in that regard. And some guys that we got to see in this game, and as of late gotten to see them come in and contribute a little bit. What did you think of Drake Jackson's coming to? I'm not sure if you were able to watch the playback or talk to others about his play, but Deuce in the Red Zone on Twitter uploaded a couple recordings of his reps. And for a guy coming back from a major injury, I mean, he actually looked the part.
Yeah, and what I would say about Drake, too, is, a lot of times some of these signings you don't even really think about because they are, bottom of the roster type signings. But I think there's been a couple of these from Adam Peters where he's at least tinkered with the bottom of the roster. And I liked Drake. Let's see if he can do it consistently, because I think that's the biggest thing, right? I think we've seen this over the years where sometimes guys get reps on a bad team. We've seen plenty of those, over the years, minus last year. But
no kidding.
I don't want to call them the preseason heroes, but it's maybe the in-season heroes a little bit. Let's see if he can continue this going on Thursday against the Cowboys. I'm cautiously optimistic. Like, let's be honest here. Adam Peters isn't useless as a GM. He tinkers with the bottom of the roster a little bit. It's something that actually was maddening with me with Ron, when they would have these years that were lost and they would just keep the roster intact and not try to bring guys in partway through. So maybe they saw something in him that manifested itself on the field. Let's be honest, this team is looking for playmakers, and that's out of the ball any way possible. I didn't talk to anyone personally, but I would just say this: if he can consistently do this for maybe the next 2 weeks, maybe there's a spot for him next year.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think he's earned enough to be able to get that, but we still have 2 more games to be able to see him. And as he gets more acclimated, let's see if we could see some more production out of him. But look, you brought up the Cowboys, who we highly dislike on the radar, coming up on Christmas Day. And obviously last time it was a slaughter, an absolute massacre of what they did to Washington. But I would argue that the way Washington came out and played against Philly was confidence building, in the sense that it wasn't getting your doors blown off until your defense they gave up along with the injuries, almost, it seems like. I don't mean to say give up, but the back kind of went out in that same sort of sphere, which really, it was reminiscent of the Eagles game last year that we lost. Whereas we were in that game, backs went out, and then it just rolled downhill from there. Do you think that this could help Washington, since it's such a short week, to be able to help prepare and play better against Dallas this time around?
I absolutely do. And I will say this too. The defense has settled down. That's the word I use with them over the last month of the season, right? Since Dan Quinn took over the play calling, I mean, outside of, I guess, the Vikings game, but that game was just another disaster, which there's been plenty of them this season. This defense looks competent again, where they're not giving up 28 points to the Lions and the Seahawks by the middle of the second quarter, right? It seems like they can hang with teams. They look like a professional operation. And God, does that sound like loser talk, but it is the bar right now for the way that this defense, needs to come out. And I'm with you. That first half against the Eagles, was it a little bit the Eagles shooting themselves in the foot? Sure. But we've also seen where the offenses have shot themselves in the foot and the defense still gives up a bunch of points and a bunch of big chunk plays. So I would say this too. I think it also matters on the other side here at the Cowboys. Like, Dak got benched in that second half. They were being safe with him once that score got out of hand. How much will they be ready to play on Thursday too? How much effort will they put out? I'll be very interested for that, because if there's one thing Dan Quinn's been really good at, it's motivating this team. I mean, to be fair, as bad as the defense has looked, I've never thought they've literally given up, where, akin to Josh Norman getting himself out of a Saints play because it's a record-breaking play or something like that from years and years ago. So I'll say this. I think it benefits them to have a short week, an extra day of rest, and a team, honestly, that had some playoff implications a couple weeks ago and now is out of it. And how do they deal with that high and low? I think the Commanders actually emotionally might be more invested in this game than the Cowboys.
Yeah, with that being said, with all the injuries, especially to quarterback, it's hard to be able to go in and say Washington would be able to get a win out of this. But do you have a stake in it? Like, do you want to see Washington continue to win, or are you of the Nick Akridge-esque of saying I want them to lose out for the draft pick?
I will never root against this team. I say that outright. But I am a glass half full type guy. So if they lose, I'll welcome the extra draft position. But I think before they beat the Giants, they were on an 8-game losing streak. Like, I think when you start to root for the draft pick, I get it. That's your prerogative if you want to do that. But if you're rooting for them to lose 12 straight games to get a really high draft pick, heads roll for that type of thing. Like, you are then asking for Dan Quinn to be fired. And maybe that's something that people want. But I think, right, exactly. And I'm of the ilk of look confident. And if you win, great. And if you lose, I'll take the positive side of that. So I do want them to win this game. Let's be honest here, too. The Christmas slate is garbage. Like, it's not good. There's all 3 games they looked good on paper at the beginning of the year. They're not going to be great now. It's the Cowboys on Thanksgiving in Landover. Like, I want to win, and if they do, I'll celebrate it. If they don't, I'll look at the draft position. But I do think a win against Dan Quinn's former club and a club that honestly beat the brakes off you last time, I think a win would go far for morale and nothing more than that, essentially.
I agree with you. And kind of looking forward ahead, Jordan McGee has done a fantastic job of coming in, just adding some speed to this defense. Looking into next season, I'm not going to say it's a dilemma, but it is a big question that needs to be asked in regards to Wags. Obviously a Hall of Famer, fantastic human, and a very good football player. But the A.J. Brown catch is evidence enough of where you can be targeted. What are you doing in this offseason if you're AP, if you're Dan Quinn? How are you going about asking that question?
So one, I think McGee has definitely earned himself some playing time, going into next year and legitimately earning that spot. I am of the belief if Bobby Wagner wants to come back on this team, I think you let him make that call. Not unlike with Zach Ertz a little bit, right? Like, they kind of said to Zach, if you want to come back, we'll sign you, but this is the price, right? I think it's the same thing with Wagner. But I also think you go into it this year with next year going into the understanding of you're going to be in a limited role. McGee's going to get some playing time. I'd like to see them sign a veteran or draft somebody late again, just to build the depth up at that spot. I know there's not a lot of draft picks. I'm just kind of throwing that out there, but adding another name to the mix is what I'm getting at here. I'm not saying no to Bobby Wagner. Like, we still have seen him turn it on at times where he got a sack against Jalen Hurts. That was a nice little play, on Saturday. He still somehow has a nose for the ball, and a defense that doesn't force turnovers forces a turnover here and there. I'm with everyone that, like, he looks a little bit old and he gets caught with the wrong guy. He shouldn't even have been on A.J. Brown, let's be honest here. But, like, I'm bringing him back at the right price, but I'm also saying in a limited role is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, and you're not the only one to feel that way. I do agree with you. I would say that if Bobby is willing to come, if he doesn't want to play, if he's willing to come back and coach, you immediately hand him that contract and say, let's hop on and help with Ken Norton. I totally agree with you in that sense. Now, I want to ask a depressing question before I get into a Christmas one. But of this season, who would you say has been the most disappointing? I don't mean to be negative, but I do have to ask the question.
You want me to pick a side, offense, defense, or just any player?
Any player, really. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Man, this is tough because I feel like I have to go with the defensive side of the ball with just how bad things have gone. And this is going to be a loaded answer here, but I think it's Mikey Sanders still, only because I think the expectations for him were to make a big jump, right?
Right.
And he's clearly taken a step back. But what I'll say here is I think they might have figured it out that he is an outside corner now. Like, I think they wanted to force him in this slot position, and he was getting burned left and right. And now all of a sudden he's okay there. And he was okay there last year.
It's crazy, Mike. It's crazy. It's crazy, isn't it?
It's maddening, and like that's why I don't. That's why I said it's going to be a loaded question, because I also think it's tough to go against a guy like Lattimore who got hurt halfway through the year, or a guy like Payne where he's getting double teamed every play. Like there's a lot of injuries, and I don't want to make injuries a part of this, but I think like in the most clean way possible, freaking find out what Mikey Sanders still does best, and please leave him there, because I think if you can just knock something off the shopping list of Adam Peters this offseason, make it an outside corner and keep Mikey on that side. And like, look, the season has been so long. It's almost like everyone kind of forgot, like, what was it, 5 or 6 weeks ago, where his wife liked to comment on Instagram saying, it's the scheme, not him.
Yeah.
And I think she's right, on that one. So let's settle into what we've got here, because I think that's one thing that I've settled into this season, where it's been like, okay, he was supposed to make this big jump, be this shutdown corner, and it was not the case until he was forced up to the outside again. So let's settle that position right now. I'm going to go with that. Just the usage of it, not him personally, I will say.
Well, I started smiling and laughing because I've been screaming that Mikey deserves to be on the outside for a while, and I thought that Lattimore, the way that he had been playing based on his speed and everything, was probably better suited for slot or safety. And so just to help out, and I've been told by others that Mikey doesn't have the long speed. And I've seen people like kind of pick on Mikey even when he's playing outside, that he gives up plays. And it's like, wait a minute, he's not a lockdown corner though. And if we could go back to what Dan Quinn and them did at Dallas with those corners, they weren't locked down either. They were opportunistic in turning over the football, and that's what Mikey is doing. So I don't know what the argument is to argue against it, but at this point, I'm glad that he's found he should. I hope next season they'll try to push him back inside. My man, it's absolutely crazy. My next question for you: Christmas movies. I know the Christmas Story everyone's going to pick, of course, but if you have an absolute favorite or a couple favorites, what are some musts for Christmas Eve or Christmas Day?
I've got to go with Christmas Vacation. It's by far my number one. It's one of those movies too. I don't know how you feel about this. You watch things differently as an adult than you did as a kid.
Yeah.
And like Christmas Vacation just captures all of the good and the bad of Christmas time. Like, love being around family, but I'm a natural introvert. So like I have a social battery, and when that runs out, I'm kind of tapping out. And like Clark Griswold kind of trying to get away from his family is just so me at this point in this day and age. And that's my favorite one. It's also just that old school National Lampoon slapstick kind of funny comedy. I don't think anything beats that. That's my number one, bar none. I do say honorable mention to Christmas Story. Obviously, everyone loves that one because it's also a classic. But I think I go Christmas Vacation as my one seed, from here on out.
Oh, my man, I was really hoping for Die Hard, but I'm not sure what side of the hill you are with that. For me personally, that's what I would be picking. But bring this back to Washington. We do have to look ahead. We haven't gone that much into the Cowboys game, and at this point, I don't think there's really much to really divulge into. But in regards to the draft, Mike, only a couple more questions, and I'll let you get out of here. But in the first round, are you going with best player available? Is there a side of the football you want to really key in on? Is there a position you're keying in on? Or is it just simply best player available?
I'm going best defensive player available. And if there's not a defensive player you think is worthy at, I guess they're sitting at 7 as of today, I think, as of us recording. If there's not a player worthy, then you try to trade down. I'm all for that. But I think this defense needs impact players, and you only get impact players or you have a better chance of getting the high impact players high up in the draft. I think you go with an edge or a certain safety that might drop to 7 if he's there, or you just take your best defensive player, because I feel like that's what the investment needs to be in this offseason. I think it's the same thing with free agency. If they're going to spend big money, please spend on the defense. It's kind of funny. I think underrated in this season is the offense has been able to kind of show up week in and week out with, not being 100% basically from the get-go. Cliff has, like I said, outside of that Vikings game, Cliff has been able to put up 20, 25, 28 points with the depleted offense. And I know some of that's garbage time in second half, but still, I think they can figure out how to get it done on offense with some tweaks, essentially. I think you need to go heavy on defense and draft on this one. So I'm all about best defensive player available on that front.
Man, and to bring this to the defensive side of the ball, in the offseason, the Joe Wick conversation needs to be had. And I've been of the side to say that I think that he should stay on as like a secondary coach or a passing game coordinator or something of that sort. I think he is very good as a secondary coach, maybe not as a DC. But if do you retain Joe Witt and keep him in a limited capacity, or which way do you think that they're going to go for outside sourcing or inside sourcing to replace Joe Witt at DC?
I think this is a very important and big question heading into the offseason. Biggest on the coaching staff for sure, barring, Cliff getting poached somewhere or whatever could happen there. But I'm with you if he wants to stay on. I think you bring him back. I think it sounds like the players like him too. Like I kind of go back to that Seahawks game where they brought him back onto the field. And it was kind of like a do or die situation, right? It was very much, let's give him another chance, see if he can see the field better or get a better feel for the game. He clearly did not. But right away, that's when Dan Quinn was saying he's staying on board. He's going to help us prepare. Like he's still going to be around. It means that he is respected, with both the players and the coaches. If he wants to come back, I would say definitely. But I do think it becomes a legit question now, though. What happens after that? Does Dan Quinn stay on board or do they bring in a big name defensive coordinator? And I think at first I was on board with Quinn, but now I'm a little bit kind of saying maybe you need the fresh set of eyes. Maybe you need a little bit of a tweak to the scheme here because Dan Quinn's defenses actually weren't amazing in Atlanta either. And I think you do have to look at that history a little bit. I think you do bring a fresh perspective. I'm not saying blow the whole entire defensive staff up, but I am saying go see who the hot new name is, for being a coordinator. And maybe bringing in someone from the outside is kind of the direction I would go.
Maybe Bobby wants to be a DC.
Maybe.
Who knows, man? But last question I have for you on hypothetical, because Chris Rodriguez, Jeremy McNichols, Austin Eckler are all, I think, slated to be released this season unless they make a change. What would you do with those running backs? Would you retain any of them? And the hypothetical that I have for you, if Love from Notre Dame is there at 7, do you pull the plug there? Or what's your thinking?
I don't think you can take Love. I think in a year where your roster is a little more set, I would be totally for it. Like, I even think it's funny. Last draft, they were drafting so late in the first round. I was kind of like, hey, take Henderson, there. Like, why not get a stud running back at that spot? I think they could have gone a bunch of different directions, and I've liked Connerly, especially this last stretch of the season. I just don't think you can take them that high. Like if they were picking a little bit later, I would say let's go for it. Or if you want to trade down and maybe you still grab an offensive piece and a defensive piece, I'd be all for it. I don't think you can do it. This team needs so much more on defense that you can't have the luxury of taking a running back high, in my opinion.
No,
go ahead.
You're absolutely right.
Like I'm usually for that. You just take the stud, right? Like you look at what the Lions did with Gibbs. Everyone killed them for drafting him, and he's one of the most dynamic players in the league at this point. But it's a luxury when you can do that type of stuff. This team can't afford to do that with the way the roster is constructed. As far as it goes with the running backs that are here, look, Eckler is probably done, so I don't think it's really someone we can realistically talk about. I think he's a great locker room guy. I also think that was an underrated part of this season of him going out. I think he had a big role carved out for this offense, and he gets hurt, and you kind of saw what happened too. Everything kind of dipped in addition to a bunch of other things that happened. As far as it goes for the other two, I think you bring back, if you had to pick between McNichols or Rodriguez, I would go Rodriguez here just because I feel like he has been the more steady hand on both pass pro and running down the stretch. But pick your poison. I mean, honestly, the drop off from one to the other isn't, huge here. I do think it's a legit question is, can Bill be the guy down the stretch? I mean, look, I get he was a late round pick. It's nothing crazy, but there was a lot of pressure on him, at the beginning of the year with, the fantasy experts and stuff like that. And can he kind of settle into that starting running back role? I think that is a question that remains to be seen. So if my perfect world is this, you go Bill, obviously last year, next year, he's going to be cheap, late round pick, whatever. Rodriguez just as your insurance. And then I think you sign a veteran running back, it's not going to break the bank. I don't know who's available right off the top of my head, but you can usually find one of those guys to go in and fill in. And that's my ideal rotation going into next year.
My man. Callow, I can't thank you enough for the time that you took to be able to come on here and give your favorite Christmas movie and the update on the whole entire team. But before you get out of here, I'd like to plug your social media handle and your show, sir.
Sure. You can get me at Mike_Callow, both on Twitter and on Instagram there. My show, The Line Change, airs every day, 3 to 5 on ESPN 630 DC here. And I'm also on with Bram Weinstein every morning at 11, who, of course, calls the Commanders game. So check us both out there.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys do. All right, Callow, thank you very much. You have a good one.
Have a great holiday, Kyle. See ya.
You too. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. This episode is called Picking Up the Pieces. You just watched a recording from earlier today of an interview I did with Callow. I am now joined by my co-hosts, Mr. Michael Hall and Goody, who's in the background. He's on the way. He's not driving and on video, so he's being safe, but he's still here with us. Hall, how are you doing, brother?
Good, just on this bright Monday morning, or it's not Monday morning. This Monday evening. It's actually I was just outside a little bit ago. It's not that cold outside, so yeah.
It's cold as hell
Got
over
a short
here.
week of work. Short week of work. Holiday party tomorrow, so can't be mad.
There you go. What about you, Goody?
Yeah, everything is good. No complaints. Like Hall said, the weather's nice, not too cold. Feels like a nice warming up to the winter, finale here with Christmas and stuff like that. So all is well.
Yeah, you guys are insane. I was out working outside today, and it was freezing. I don't know what's going on where you guys. I know you're in Jersey, Goody, with Hall. Maybe I'm just in a weird bubble over here.
Nah, I mean it was like in the mornings. Obviously, it's like cold, like 20s, 30s, whatever it may be. But by the daytime, the sun comes up. It's like in like 45, and I think it's gonna be like in the 50s tomorrow, something like that. So.
Yeah, hopefully it snows on Christmas. But, boys, let's kind of talk about the recent developments. I was able to ask Callow about the quarterback controversy. You know what? I feel bad for Josh Johnson. It's not like he got starting reps. I know everyone. So I'll start this off before we get into the quarterback question. Did you have an issue with Dan Quinn punting the ball on those two possessions in the game? I'll start with you, Hall.
Josh Johnson was the quarterback for both of those, right?
For one of them.
I was gonna say, yeah, I think Marcus Mariota was the first one, but the first one I was kind of like, why are we punting this? Like, we should be going for at least trying to go for this or something like that. And I was kind of like, whatever. But I mean, after hearing his thought process and like saying the defense, he thought they can get a stop and whatnot, blah blah blah.
You are a smart man. You are a very smart man.
I was like, okay, I get that. And then the second one, even before I heard DQ's explanation, I kind of figured just off my top of my head, like, all right, it's because he has Josh Johnson in the game. At this point, they're not really mustering up any type of momentum on offense. More than likely, this game is over with. So I get it. Me personally, if I was the coach, I still would have gone for it no matter that situation. But again, after hearing DQ's kind of explanation about the second one as well, again, I get his I got his line of thinking. But and again, in the moment, I got his line of thinking as well. It's just me personally, I would have gone for both of those because at this point, you're what are they, 4-11, on the way to 4-11 at that point. I mean, what do you have to lose type of thing? But I mean, I get it. Like, coaches don't really think of like, oh, what do I got to lose? And like that type of situation. They're more of thinking of like in a real live game setting type of thing. So I get it.
I will say this. If that 2-point conversion attempt had happened before that sequence of fourth downs, I think we would have gone for it. And I think Dan Quinn is trying to – I understand that he's trying to push it down and calm everything out. I totally get it. But they're pissed about it. And as rightfully as they should be. They should be pissed about it. It's just you do it in the parameters of the game legal-wise, which is what Dan Quinn is trying to calm down right now to make sure that everyone's not fighting in the parking lot. So credit to Dan for doing that. What about you, Goody? Did you have an issue with it?
So when I was watching it just felt weird, considering the time, left in the game, the distance and the score. We weren't being blown out necessarily. So just by watching the game, like when you see them pulling out the punt team on that, it just felt weird, as somebody that watches football. And then you kind of question it a little bit, but I was actually kind of surprised at how bent out of shape, a lot of people were about this topic, whether him going for it or punting it there. I didn't think it was too much of, to make so much noise about it, but the reaction was kind of up there. So that threw me off as well, but I don't feel any way, either way of him going for it there or punting it. I just got to say it did feel weird considering how much time was left in the game and the fact that the game was still within reach technically. So that was just something that you just feel weird as a viewer, but no complaints, no complaints.
But Goody, it is hilarious that you were surprised by the reaction. Like this is the same fan base that was freaking out over stripes on the pants. Do you know what I'm saying? Like we have to take, like, literally, if it's anything, we will freak out about it. And look, I'm gonna attach myself to it. We're all one fan base, as much as you guys try to hate on me. We're all one fan base. But it is funny because there's always something to get riled up about, to get angry about. And I will say this.
I've always said they can go to the Super Bowl and they could blow somebody out 30-3, and you'll have a 0.1% of the fan base that'll be mad that they gave up 3 points at some point in the game. Like you just blew up a Super Bowl winning game where you scored 30 points, blew them up by 27. But there will be 1% of the fan base. Well, they shouldn't have gave up that 3 points, and they made the wrong decision. And it's just like, bro, just
you couldn't have made that point any better with that comparison. You really just nailed that.
Absolutely. And look, I'll make this point that you can't go at it and say you can't be pissed off about the 2-point conversion since you weren't in an attacking style for those fourth downs, right? Well, they're two separate entities. They happen at two separate times, Like, you could have been in a fight with somebody and just not taken an opportunity when you needed to, and then that person, like, does the Mike Tyson bit and bites your ear. That doesn't mean that you can't have the ability to be pissed off about it and come to fight back. It still happened to you, and to say that you didn't have those 2 punches means you shouldn't have the motivation to attack or get revenge on it. That's ridiculous. They're two separate instances that happen. Calm down, everybody. Everything is all right. And honestly, I want that out of my head coach. I want to see some fire after getting a 2-point conversion put on you when you don't need it to.
I get people's reaction as well after the fact when he's like, well, that's how they want to get down. We'll see him again in 2 weeks or whatever. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, you gave up during the game. Why didn't you have that fight? And whenever you wanted to punt it and da-da-da-da-da.
Well, that was before the guy bit your ear.
Yeah, but also it's from a standpoint of, like, what do you want him to do? He has the people in his locker room. He has his players, his coaching staff looking at him like he's not just going to be there, well, we should have stopped them and just kind of like lay down type of situation. Like, of course he's going to be like, he's going to try to stand up for his team and his guys. He's got
to rile up the troops, man.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to try to stand up for his guys and not be like, not take it to another level type of thing where it's like I feel like if that was a reverse situation, Nick Sirianni would have took it to a whole nother level of that was classless and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I don't think he's trying to like make it like a big thing, but I think he's kind of subtly, subliminally to the media saying like, and to his players in the locker room, like, hey, we're not going to take that ish from them and da-da-da-da-da. So like, yeah, like I get it. Be mad about it after the fact because it's like you didn't have that attitude when you wanted to punt the ball on fourth down in those situations. But yeah, he's just trying to
give Sirianni something to like a leg to stand on in that. The kicker was having a god awful night, which was actually kind of comical how bad it was.
If he would have explained it that way, then it would have been like, all right, cool. His explanation at the end was just like crazy.
Yeah, he probably ran with it after the brawl, but maybe initially sending him out there was to actually bench his kicker, to literally punish his kicker instead of trying to show us up. And it could have looked the other way. But after the brawl, then you kind of don't go back on it and you kind of want to stand your ground. So maybe that's something that could have happened. But yeah, that was a big deal as well,
Nick Sirianni this happened to me when I was younger in my partying days, where the dude that doesn't get allowed into the party is the one that calls the cops on the party. That's the type of dude that Nick Sirianni is. Do you know what I'm talking about? And that's exactly who he is. And that's why he went for that 2-point conversion. He is a little, if I was Dan Quinn, I'd be replaying that 2-point conversion, not the fight, but I'd be replaying that 2-point conversion attempt. Oh, like, how they have TVs in the practice facility when you walk in, they have the huge one there. Literally every single TV that anybody could see, replay a 2-point conversion over and over again. As much as we want to say that there's nothing to fight for, the season's gone, that still gets you riled up. All right, the dude bit your ear. You better get ready to punch him in the face.
The funny thing about it is we're going to get to 2 weeks from now, and then they're not even going to play any of their starters, nothing like that, because they're gonna have nothing to play for.
It's an even game then, and let's do it then.
Yeah.
Let's do it then.
I was going to say with that.
I'm just saying as far as like, oh, we're going to see them in 2 weeks, like, I mean, technically, you're probably not going to because you're gonna see all like the backups.
Well, it's not like it's directed towards AJ
I know.
Brown
I'm
or
just
Jalen
joking.
Hurts. This is Nick Sirianni.
The Cowboys might catch a stray just off of all the heat here. Just based off when you said 2 weeks from now, it may kind of dial down, but the Cowboys may catch a stray. The guys might be fired up and just take it out on the Cowboys, coming up. So we'll see.
No, the Cowboys cheddar bob themselves, so we don't have to worry about them too much. You know what I'm saying? But in that sense, like it's an even game at that point. Let's let it ride, man. As much as anybody likes to talk crap, let's get it in on them. With that being said, the big conversation as of late, boys. Goody, I'll go to you first. The quarterback issue currently. What do you think is going to happen? I know. Are you of the elk that you want Jeff Driscoll to be in there, or are you saying, this Josh Johnson getting the reps this week? Have at it.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I think I feel better with Jeff Driscoll. This kind of happens all the time when you see a roster's quarterback position get depleted, and you're going through obviously your first starters out, your backup gets dinged up, your third stringer probably gets hurt as well. And there's always somebody else that's on the practice squad or somebody that's even on the roster. And you always see teams go and pick somebody else up that's not on a roster, that's sitting on the couch. And they tend to be the starter for that moment of time. So I've seen that happen so many times where it's actually kind of weird. Whereas, you have all these quarterbacks in your house, but yet when you get down to the bottom of it, you go out and get somebody else that's hasn't been in the doors. But, yeah, I'm cool with Jeff Driscoll running the show. I didn't like what I saw from Josh Johnson last week. I'm sure a lot of us didn't. And to his defense, he wasn't not necessarily anticipating to play, but then again, he is the backup quarterback, so you have to be ready. That's your job. It just didn't look good. The offense didn't look right. But yeah, I'd rather have Jeff Driscoll out there with a little bit upside. He knows Cliff's offense. He's been with us before, so that'll give me a little bit more excitement to watch the game than it would if Joe Johnson was quarterbacking, personally.
I got to disagree. I'm going to go with Josh Johnson for this because Josh Johnson has actually been practicing all season. So he at least has some sort of rhythm with some of the wide receivers. As much as that it might be scout team or others, at least he's out there throwing the ball every single week. Whereas Jeff Driscoll's probably been playing Mario Kart, Call of Duty with his kids for the past month or so. It's going to take him time. But I wouldn't put out the realm of possibility that Jeff Driscoll plays against Philly. Because this being such a short week, don't think it's smart to throw Jeff Driscoll into the fire, so to speak. Let Josh go at it, and if Josh struggles, then sure. If the game is gone, then put in Jeff. But I have a lot of respect for Josh Johnson and what he's capable of and what he can do, and so I'd rather go with Josh. With a full week of actual practicing, I'd go with Josh.
Yeah, I think. Well, first, I think Dan Quinn said Josh Johnson's going to get all the majority of the reps. So that just says that he's going to be the starter more than likely. But
you're all right.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw both of them, to be honest with you. I think that the Cowboys are about to pretty much blow us out, going to run it up on us. And not just because I feel like they're going to mail it in and end of the season, 1, 2, 3 Cancun. I just think that we're not going to be able to really move the ball on offense due to whoever the quarterback is back there. And I just feel like they're going to move the ball a lot on this defense. And it's just going to be one of those things where eventually it's just going to one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, and then it gets out of hand. So you might see both of them play on on Thursday on Christmas. But I would say I'm cool with, I guess, Josh Johnson just because, like you said, Kyle, he's been here for a majority of the season or the whole season, and he probably has a little bit more chemistry with the receivers and stuff like that, as far as checks and stuff that calling the audibles at the line of scrimmage and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you. Now let's go to our fan questions that were submitted for this show. And Hall, I'll go to you first. This one by the Colonel. I just heard we snatched Jeff Driscoll off Arizona's practice squad. Is Sam Hartman going to get a chance or not?
No. Just for the simple fact they picked up Driscoll, it tells you that they're like, all right, yeah, Sam, you just here for the vibes. You're here to be with chills, kick it with Jaden, make sure he's all good and happy, and that's about it. But
he's like the team mascot at this point.
Yeah, exactly. He's like the team, like I said, he's just in the quarterback room for the vibes. They like him in the quarterback room. He's probably fun to hang out with, be around. So good for him. I mean, look.
If we're being honest, they're not keeping Sam Hartman around just for Jaden Daniels. It's also for Mike Reed.
Yeah, I'm joking.
He's also
That's
from
true.
Mike
That
Reed.
is true. That
We
is
got to
true.
keep
That
that
is
guy
true.
happy. No, I don't think with Sam, unless something drastic happens, I don't think so. They kind of know what's going on with Sam, and they just the arm strength is a legitimate thing. And so if you don't have the arm strength, then you better have the anticipation, the ability to get the ball out of your hands quickly in a decisive manner at a good location. And honestly, at training camp and everything else, he did not look fantastic. Enough to give you warrant enough confidence that he can be able to do it. And so, no, I don't think so. What about you, Goody?
Yeah. So, give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm going to go to the next question. You're good. All right, so this is a loaded question at me, but you can answer it if you'd like to, Hall, but I'm going to answer it. The Colonel asks, okay, now I see where I stand. It took Anthony Armstrong to back you off of your ridiculous position that Jaden play the remaining of the season. He made you see the light, despite the fact I've been saying that for several weeks. Number 13 is bright, well-spoken, and a professional athlete. But did he watch any of the 3 Super Bowl wins? Does he know Washington history? I've got socks older than him. Why does he have more influence than your father-in-law? So, I plead the fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth. It's not the influence really. I understood why they made the move, but I'm still under the mindset that you play your guys. That you can't. I understand there's a thing about protecting your investment. I don't like going about things in a scared way. Like if you go about it in a scared way, you get scared results. And I understand that. And I'm not saying that to throw him out there. It's just a lot of the collisions that Jaden takes is a personal collision that he puts himself in the way of. It's not like these are situations where they're forcing him to do these things. It's like a decision that he makes himself. And like he has to get out of that. And there's no real way for him to get out of that unless he's actually in the muck learning. And I equate it to like our job or my job, your Hall's job. Like on any given day at you at work, there is a lesson that you can learn that you learn for future times that is valuable. If you're not in there working on every given day, you might not be able to learn that lesson. And so that's valuable for you later on down the road. And so that's what my concern is with Jaden, is that he's missing valuable situations and game time to be able to learn these lessons to head into next season. Because if you go about it in a pussyfoot kind of way, that issue is still going to linger around you next season. I want to get through that lesson. I want to make sure he is prepared next season for this so that we're not approaching this kind of issue every single year, every single game next season. And that's ultimately where my head lies. And I understand in protecting the investment. I get it. It's smart and it's safe. But I'm not really of that mindset. I think that's valuable time and reps that's going by the wayside. Do you want to have anything to say about that?
No, not really. I mean, I'm pretty
Again,
much in the
shots fired, man. I'm getting
on
shot at.
your side of the camp where like even I mean at this point there's only 2 games left, so like I get like not putting him out there and like whatever, like 2 games, like it is what it is, end of the season. Back when there was 5 games left and he was cleared to play, then I was all for him playing.
Right.
And even if he was cleared to play the what was that, I guess it would have been the Broncos game on Sunday Night Football, I would have been fine with him playing that if they would have cleared him and he would have started and played in that game. But like you said, he needs the reps, and you just look at a guy like Caleb Williams and Drake May and a guy like Bo Nix. They are consistently on the field, consistently at practice, getting the reps, getting the game time looks, seeing this coverage, seeing how they roll this coverage after the fact, getting the synchronization with the receivers, getting into rhythms and offense. Like Cliff talked about it all year. The offense never really got into a real rhythm all year because there's just guys going in and out, in and out, in and out the lineup at all positions for the most part, mostly the skill positions. So that's where I feel like, yes, it would have been nice to see him finish out the season, get the reps, get a little bit of rhythm to close out the season. I'm not going to say like get his confidence back because I still think he has all the confidence in the world, but it would have been nice to get his confidence back as far as like playing on the field with Debo and Terry and kind of showing what the offense could have and would have looked like possibly. So I get both sides of, like you said, I get both sides of it, where you want to you want to protect the investment because it's also a business as well, and the owner has to be able to sell the tickets for 2026. Especially after a season like this, you got to like be able to sell something going into next year. And if Jaden did happen to be injured again, what is there to sell as far as like him putting a business product on the field type of thing? So I get the business side of it and I get the football side of it. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. It was just an unfortunate, absolute terrible year. Now the next question from the
Yes.
Colonel, Goody. I'm not sure if you're back yet. Let me give me a shout out
Yep.
when you are. Do you have
Yep.
anything to say about that, or can I get the next one in? I'll let Goody first.
Yeah, so I'll just be quick. Like selfishly, you kind of want to just see him out there when you're watching your games to end the season, but you kind of understand, it's over. You shut him down. It is what it is. Now you're just kind of looking forward to next season, the bounce back.
I get it, and shots fired. I get it. I listen to you, Colonel. I listen to you. I listen to you. Just you push me along. You push me along, and that was more of an influence than Anthony. But Anthony has a way of speaking. Like I told him, he should be on TV. Now, Goody, this next question from the Colonel. Let's say Jaden Daniels hasn't been available to us a couple years ago in the draft. Given what we know now, ending their sophomore years between Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jackson Dart, and Bo Nix, which quarterback from the same draft would you have us pick? Jackson Dart was this draft, so erase Jackson Dart.
Yeah. So going back with the turnout of the sophomore seasons, I think I would still go with Jaden, just because of what I experienced last year. As a fan, call it bias, call it what you want, but just seeing the play of him like on the field, taking my team of all teams, these guys play great football and they're ascending well, but they're not ascending for my team. So I think I would still take Jaden, just knowing that this was one of those seasons where you could chalk it up and things were unfortunate, right? This could happen to any of those other guys next year, the year after as well. So I'm not going to put it all on what I'm seeing on the surface. I'm just going to go from my gut, and I'm gonna stick with Jaden still. It will be close. It would be close, I would say, with Drake May, just because I like the style of quarterback that he is, and I just like the way that I've seen him grow quickly. But without a doubt, I would still be rocking with JD5.
Okay, but in spirit of the question, so you'd go with Drake May.
No. Jaden Daniels,
Well,
100%.
I'm saying, but the spirit of the question is, let's just say Jaden wasn't in that draft, is what he's saying, and you had to pick between these guys.
I'm so sorry. I missed that part. I thought it was including Jaden in that question. Oh, so hands down, Drake May.
Okay. I am of the similar ilk. I said this in that draft. I was high on Caleb. I'm not gonna say I wasn't, but I also said there was 5 quarterbacks that were available for Washington to be able to select at number 2. That included Bo Nix. That included Michael Penix. I still think Michael Penix is a good quarterback. If you don't think so, just look at what Kirk is doing with that offense. He's still turn over the ball like crazy. But just like I said in the Josh Allen draft class, give me the big kid with the strong arm, and I can work with him. And so, with that being said, I'd go with Drake. It's just I think Caleb is a head case, and when things go wrong, he just unravels. And so I'd go with Drake May, and not because of just this season purely, but just because of the physical stature, what he offers. You can do a lot with somebody of that stature.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much with you both. I was going back to that 2024 draft last year. I think there was a lot of fan base that was either or, but there was also like a lot of the fan base that was good with either one of the quarterbacks, and that be between Jaden and Drake May. So, yeah, I was like, as far as like it was like neck and neck for me as far as like Jaden and Drake May. But at the end of the day, I would like Jaden a little bit more just because I felt like he was more athletic and the running aspect of his game was like a little like better than Drake May, even though obviously Drake May can run the ball and is athletic as well. But yeah, obviously if you're just watching throughout the league right now, it's not hard to see that Drake May is ascending at a star level right now, as far as like a shooting star level. Wait, as far as like how quickly he's ascending. But I'll also say that Bo Nix has been pretty solid as far as like
Solid is a
quarterback
good
play.
word to put it. That
Yeah, because
defense is
he's
carrying
not
a lot
like
of weight.
exactly defense is carrying a lot of weight, and Sean Payton is at times, most times, not trying to put the entire offense on his shoulders. So
It's
they're a team
amazing,
that likes
isn't
to,
it?
yeah, like a team that likes to run the ball, play defense, and I mean, look, he's not scared to put the offense on Bo's shoulders, and a lot of the time, Bo does come through due to the record this year. But yeah, I would say that if you go back to that draft, a lot of the fan base was happy with either Jaden or Drake May. So you take Jaden out of that equation, then I would go with Drake May as well.
Yeah, it's amazing what can happen with a solid running game and a very good defense, what a young quarterback can do.
Yeah.
Now, the next question that we have submitted is by Deluxe. Goody, what do you want the Commanders to deliver on Christmas? He says, me, I'm asking for no injuries. Goody must be inside. What do you think?
Yeah, I was probably going to say no injuries, but not to repeat his answer, I would say I want to see more Bill, and I want to see more Jordan McGee, like offense and defensive side of the ball. Obviously, Jordan McGee is a guy that flashes when he's on the field next to Bobby, learning from Bobby, and his speed definitely sticks out. And I'm kind of a little irked that Bill only got like 11 snaps in that last game coming off the Giants game. I know they like Chris Rodriguez better, whatever the case may be, but for him to get outsnapped by Jeremy McNichols, I like Jeremy McNichols, but if we're being like honest, Bill is more of the future at that position than Jeremy McNichols is probably in the long term if everything pans out like we want it to. So I just want to see Bill get more carries, especially coming off the game that he had. He seems like a guy that gets like as a kind of like momentum kind of guy where coming off a good game like that, I got momentum, I'm feeling good. I want to see him get more carries again, see if he can duplicate that. And didn't happen for whatever reason. So I want to see McGee and Bill have solid games against the Cowboys.
Honestly, Deluxe, I'm not sure if the Commanders can really gift me anything for Christmas, but I'll just say a legitimate physical good matchup against the Cowboys. Like, just not the same type that we saw a month or so ago against Dallas. Like, you cannot do that again at home. The way that the season ticket prices have increased, you're trying to get everything back in. You know Dallas is going to take over the stadium just like Philly did. If you need anything, you need to have a physical great game. And I'm not necessarily saying a win. Of course, you want to get out of there with no injuries, but at this point, I think like the Lord's plan is much more convoluted than we imagined. And so whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So let's just be physical. Let's go out there balls blazing and let's wreck some people, man. Goody, you back yet?
Sure. I could have just said just be competitive.
Well, yeah,
honestly.
but I want to be more.
Yeah, no.
I want to punch people in the face. Now, the next question, this one, it's a really good one. He asks, Deluxe does, do we see newly signed wide receiver Agnew active this week to play in the return game? And I absolutely do. Agnew is 30 years old, 5'10", 190 pounds. This year on kick return, he averages 24.7 per return. For punt return, he averages 7.6 yards per return. That being said, though, he does have 3 fumbles on the year. So that's one issue with Jamal Agnew as a returner is holding on to the football, which is something that Jalen Lane is actually really good at when he's in punt. Kick return, different story. Punt return, phenomenal at it. So I do think that that's why they went and plucked Agnew. Like, that is his specialty. That's what he does. And so I do think that he'll be, because it's not really something that like you have to have plays for. It's not like something he has to get, like, it's almost like kicker. Where like you can just thrust them in there and they can go about doing their thing. Just look where the hole is and run through it.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's like pretty much a special teams return guy. That's his like literal job in the NFL. He probably plays like other like special teams like punt and stuff like that as well. I know going back to like either last year or the year before that, he was on the Jaguars. and he was getting some run at like wide receiver, and I had him in fantasy randomly because I had a bunch of injuries, and he was getting me like randomly like he would score a touchdown like every other week. I was like, oh snap! But yeah, he's definitely like a return specialist in the NFL. Like literally, that's like his job. So it would make sense for them to pick him up and put him out there. And like you said, it's not like you have to like literally learn like an entire playbook. I feel like they only have like a couple like they just got to learn like their blocking scheme as far as like what they're doing on kickoff returns, punt returns, stuff like that. And that should be pretty easy for a guy like that to learn. And I would definitely assume he'd be out there on Thursday.
I agree with you. Good, are you back yet? Not yet. In a season like this, Hall, there are typically overreactions. What is the biggest overreaction that you've heard this week?
This week, there's been a lot of overreactions. I think the biggest one is that a lot of it comes from like the bots and the trolls on Twitter and like other fan bases. But I will say there's some people in the media that are already starting to question Jaden Daniels. Can he be durable? Is he actually the star quarterback that we all thought he was?
It's not
And
an
I will say
insane
that
thing to say, though. I mean, there is some merit to it.
it is some merit, but I'm also going to go with the track record of played 55 out of 57 games in college, played all 20 games last year.
Fair.
And so like technically if you want to go by like the analytics of it, last year was this year, I mean, is the anomaly season out of his college and NFL career.
Good point.
So I mean, until proven otherwise, I'm going to say that this is the anomaly season. And could there be durability questions? Of course. But I'm going to hope that that's not the case and that he'll be able to play 15 plus games next year and this will all be behind us. But I would say that there's people questioning that is he the actual star quarterback that we saw last year, as if like what we saw on the field last year was all a fluke, is what I'm like. That's more the overreaction part that I am getting at, where a guy like that doesn't get that surgical from the pocket and it's a fluke. And you can say like, oh, it's Cliff's scheme and people caught up to it, da 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 da. Do we know that for a fact? Because we only saw him in like 7 games this year. So we don't really know if they caught up to the scheme or not, or what the end result would have been. So all I'm going to say is the overreaction for me the most, like I said, is Jaden Daniels still can't be a top 10 quarterback or a star in this league because last year was a fluke.
All right. By far, it's the reaction to Dan Quinn punting the ball on 4th down. I've already kind of highlighted it and gone into it. Ultimately, I think it's ridiculous, the way that people are acting about it. Those same people would be complaining if Washington went for it and won that game, essentially saying, oh, now they lost draft order. Now they went down because they won the game. Well, it's like, I understand that we're just trying to find things to be angry at, but like at least be logical about it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like at least put it where it's supposed to be, in the sense that he obviously didn't have confidence in Josh Johnson and that 4th and 4. And if you're going to say that, then okay, then it makes sense why he did what he did. And to his point and what you had said earlier, Hall, you put 2 and 2 together to say the defense was making stops. And so you do feel comfortable with kicking it down there. Maybe you do have another option to be able to get down the field. And I think the team ultimately deflated at the same time that Bobby Wagner failed to tackle Saquon in the red zone. I mean, that's not something I was prepared for. Because if there's one thing Bobby can do, is if he has his hands on you, you're going down. Very rarely does he let somebody get out of his hands. And I guess give credit to Saquon for being able to have the power to do so. But when I saw that happen, I was like, whoa, what is that about for that touchdown? Because Bobby doesn't do things like that. And seeing that, they kind of deflated. So I don't understand the overreaction to the 4th and 4. We're 4-11. Like, we're not playing for a playoff spot right now. Like, I would understand that if we're playing for the number 1 going against Philly, the Eagles, and you're like, okay, well, why didn't you do that? We're supposed to be trying to win this game. I could understand that argument. But we're 4-11. We're on our 3rd quarterback in the game. And you don't understand why Dan Quinn would be upset about the 2-point conversion that happened afterwards. You don't understand. You can't correlate why. It's perfectly reasonable why he would kind of be pissed off about it. And of course, he had to sleep on it, let it simmer a little bit to get back down to earth. But that's probably the biggest overreaction by far was at 4th and 4. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was celebrating my anniversary on Saturday night, and ignorantly, I set up the reservation for 5:15. And I did get yelled at. There's a picture of me at the table with you could see the Score Center wrap up when I'm following the updates, and I kept looking at it. I got yelled at, but it was a good time. I had a fantastic time. But I was able to rewatch on the All 22, and well, all I'll say is, man, just I know we just find things to get angry at, and during the season, like that's the one way you could show other fan bases that like you're not okay with winning is getting just upset about random stuff. But like, dude.
To your point, also, it's like for 2 months, literally for 2 months straight, everyone complained, oh, they can't get a win. They're on a 7-game losing streak, a 6-game losing streak, an 8-game losing streak. They suck. They can't. They can't even beat this sorry team. They finally beat the Giants, and everyone, well, they would have lost to the Giants if they should have. Then the draft position and that, well, you just complained about how they weren't winning games. Now they won a game, and you're complaining that they won the game. Like, pick a side. What are we doing here?
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And Deluxe, you are right. Was Bobby missing that tackle like Bateman getting run over in the movie in The Replacements? Yes, you're absolutely right about that. Or the Water Boy you could correlate to, except he's not showing up at halftime helping the Mud Dogs win the Bourbon Bowl, baby. But, you know, this has been a season. It's been insane. And I know that the draft is even going to be more crazy because literally Washington has all the options on the table. So everyone's going to be arguing. And I haven't been on Twitter as much as I typically am because I just cannot stand it anymore. The constant bigger. Like I saw a dude. Did you see the tweet I posted today, the retweet? The dude saying that we're drafting Caleb Downs. We're getting Myles Garrett. We're getting Isaiah Likely. And I was like, Myles Garrett? I was like, how are we?
No, but he did like quote tweet it after the fact. I saw that he was like, the amount of people that don't realize this is like satire, like chill out.
Okay. All right. That makes sense then. Because like, dude, how are we getting Myles Garrett and drafted Caleb Downs? This is crazy.
No, trust me. I saw that. People were going ham on him. He was like, this is clearly not a 100% not serious tweet. Like, everyone chill out. Yeah, you're like, no, you're an idiot.
I beg to differ, but I guess there's somebody that's just good on Twitter that knows.
You know what's funny though? Somebody else was like, oh, so it's only satire if you get called out on it. I got you.
Exactly. That's how you play the game, man. That's how you play the game, Hall. That's how it is out here. You know what I'm saying? But it's been an absolute wild year. Obviously, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Last year was well worth it. It's just it sucks seeing everybody else balling. You know what I mean? Like, and we're like the lame duck. I guess it is kind of like last year, whereas we were the only ones really balling, and everyone else in the draft class, like we could easily say Jaden is better than everyone else, and now it's kind of like things have evened out.
That's why I put that tweet out today, and I was like, because there's just so much discourse on Twitter from the moment Jaden got injured in week 2 up until now, where look at Drake May. He's better. You picked the wrong quarterback. Oh, I told you Caleb was better than Jaden. RG4. And it's just like, it got to the point where I was like, y'all do realize that, like, Jaden, GOAT season last year. And then an injury-riddled, like, mediocre season this year. Drake May, a decent year last year. A great season this year. Caleb Williams, a horrible season last year. A decent season this year. The only one that's really been, like, consistent has been Bo Nix. So, like, but obviously no one's taking Bo Nix 1, 2, or 3. So it's like, if you really look at the top 3 quarterbacks that were taken, all of them had one good year and one bad year, technically, or like mediocre year in the grand scheme of things. So, like, why are we arguing about this quarterback's better, that quarterback's better? The only thing
that's what the loser says, though.
I know. The only thing I'm jealous of, I know. The only thing I am jealous about, though, that I will say this is, if you look at all of the quarterbacks, like, I'm just going to include the 4 quarterbacks, the big 4 right now in that draft class, because Michael Penix is injured and J.J. McCarthy is J.J. McCarthy, that Josh McDaniels is the offensive coordinator up in New England. There's no chance he's probably ever going to get a head coaching job or opportunity ever again. So he's going to have a coordinator for pretty much his entire career, or as long as Josh McDaniels want to be there. Same thing with Bo Nix and Sean Payton. Bo Nix will have Sean Payton for as long as Sean Payton wants to be there and be his offensive coordinator. Same thing with Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams will have Ben Johnson for as long as Ben Johnson is employed as the Bears head coach. The thing here is, hopefully, if they start churning through offensive coordinators, hopefully it's like a trickle down, like in-house, same system type of guy. Because as we've all seen in the past with Jason Campbell, guys like that, an offensive coordinator, a new offensive coordinator every single year or every other year, it's not good for the quarterback in the long run. So
We'll make the
that's
argument.
That's the one thing I am jealous about.
We'll make the argument that all three of those teams have very good defenses this year. And
Yeah, I wouldn't say the Bears defense is good. They're just like getting turnovers, and that's not really a consistent thing that might carry over to next year.
well, that's what I mean, though, is like that defense is highly underrated, and it's doing a lot for them, making things easier to give you more of an ability to showcase your abilities, right? If you're getting the doors blown off you every game, it's kind of hard for you to be able to sit back there and sling it and run the football. But if your defense is doing their job, it's very easy to be able to take it over. And that's what these other guys do not have the luck, aren't doing what Jaden did last year, which is essentially being able to do it with a mediocre defense. It's just getting by, and the quarterback position is really elevating things. And this season, the injuries early on really hampered the offense and brought them down, but they've been even keel really all season long, and it's either been one or the other that has collapsed at some points in the season. And it's unfortunate, but I would just venture to say that the defenses are not getting enough credit. And I don't like being proven right in the terms of a solid running game, a great defense can really help a young quarterback be able to blossom and groom into a professional quarterback. And I'm just, I'm glad that
I
and I have had those arguments so many times.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just talking about like offensive consistency as far as like Drake. Like I said, Drake May can have the same coordinator for the next 10 years because again, Josh McDaniels is not getting a head coaching job probably ever again or an opportunity.
My point being is those defenses could bottom out and you're not going to get the same production because the defenses bottom out.
Maybe not. We don't know that.
I think so. I really
I'm just talking about staying in the same offense for like
I got you.
Many years.
And hopefully Wash will be able to continue that trend. With who would they do have if Blau can stay around, if BJ can stay around, and Anthony Lynn. I don't think they're going to be getting poached anytime soon. But who would have saw Stanford come out of the left field, and pluck Tavita in the middle of the season, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, that's going to wrap us up for this episode. Can't thank you guys enough. If you've made it this far, you're a frickin' champion for sticking around and listening to us banter. I hope you guys have a merry... Oh, before we get out of here, what's your favorite Christmas movie? Goody, are you back yet?
Yes, I'm back.
Oh,
I'm
my
back.
bad, dude. I didn't know. I wasn't sure.
No, it's all right. I'm here with Max and Ruby. They're here too. So.
All right, make sure you ask them what's your favorite Christmas movie.
Ooh, favorite Christmas movie. I'm gonna say right now, I'm gonna go with the I forget the name of it. It's the one with the Turbo Man.
Oh,
with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Jingle
all the way.
Yeah, so Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's hilarious. I was literally going to say the same thing.
That's my go-to right now. Love that movie too.
Which is hysterical. Yeah. I haven't seen that since I was a kid. But I
that John was literally just on. The girls were watching it earlier. Like,
really?
Downstairs. Yeah.
By far, is Die Hard. I mean,
nice.
There is no equatable. And anybody that argues that it's not a Christmas movie, whatever. But there's no other Christmas movie made like it. That's because the reason why people don't want to make it a Christmas movie or say that it's a Christmas movie is because it's better than all the other Christmas movies, and that's the only reason why.
There's some sort of cult with the Die Hard Christmas movie theory. I think there's a cult involved there. But my question is this: do the other Die Hards take place during Christmas as well?
Wait, what'd you say?
Do the other Die Hard movies?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
So that could be an argument there.
Nah, it's still a Christmas movie. It started out as one. It started
close
out
second,
as one.
Though. My close second, obviously, is probably everyone's like either favorite or one of the top 3 to 5. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
It's
Yeah.
all right. Ever since Macaulay
That's a gem.
Culkin,
That's a gem.
Macaulay Culkin said that Die Hard's not a Christmas movie, and so ever since that, Home Alone gets bumped down the list. Like you shouldn't have commented on it, dude. You shouldn't have commented on it. Just like that dude in the stands that got punched by DK. You shouldn't have commented on it. You wouldn't have gotten punched.
Called him
That's like a
Decarius or whatever his
Christmas,
name is.
Christmas in July
Calamari.
movie.
There you
Christmas
go.
in July.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, but by far it's Die Hard. But then the backup is Santa Claus with Tim Allen. Such a fantastic.
We were just watching
That's a
that. We were
classic.
just
That's
watching.
girls were just watching that too, like last week.
Where that dude, my wife loves it. It's her favorite of all time. The one-liners are absolutely fantastic. Like, nice sweater, Neil. He's like, we're all one family. Me, you, your mom, Neil.
Yeah.
It's so good. Dude, Tim Allen is fantastic in that movie. All right, everybody. We will see you guys again. We will see you probably Friday after the game. I'll talk to the boys and see what works best for them. Do you guys want to do predictions real quick for the Cowboy game?
Sure.
What do you got?
I'll say Cowboys. It's gonna be like almost unwatchable at times, but I'll say Cowboys. Cowboys 30, Washington 13.
I'm not gonna do it. Washington wins. Without the glare to their benefit, the 4:30 glare that they get over there in Texas, I think that they are at a disadvantage. Dak Prescott got pulled late in that game. Joe Milton came in. We'll probably see something like that. So it's going to be even, baby. Let's see how it goes. And I'm ready to rock, of course. I'll go with Washington. Washington wins 24-0.
I can dig it. Let's go with Santa Claus is going to deliver. Something wrapped in burgundy and gold. It's going to be a W, and Washington beats the Cowboys. I'm going to say 21-17.
21-17. I like it.
People are gonna be so mad if they beat the Cowboys. Like,
yeah.
We messed up our draft position.
Well, they're already talking about it. You saw that they're bringing up our win against the Giants. Oh, we would have had number 3 overall.
I know. If they didn't have a meaningless win against the Giants, then, again, like I said, you were just talking about how meaningless this season was. They couldn't win a game. Then they win a game, and it's a meaningless win against the Giants.
We went right back into the comfortable spot of being draft winners, you know?
No good.
No, the Titans have had like a top 10 pick every single year, and they still haven't developed anything.
That's literally, thank you, because John Keim said the same thing on the radio this morning. He was like, there's teams every single year that are picking in that top 5 to 10 that are not good every single year.
Yeah.
It ain't about who you draft. It's about who you draft and how you develop them.
Yep.
And what you do.
Traylon Burks looks good, though. I'll tell you that much. Traylon Burks looks good, man. Tennessee, they messed something up there.
Yep. Well, you know,
he's got to stay healthy, and I think he can be like wide receiver 4-3 maybe.
The teams
I just wish that there was no penalty on that big play he had over the middle.
Yeah, I didn't know what
refs sucked.
I saw that on the All-22. What was the penalty on that?
It was holding on Brandon Coleman, but it wasn't a holding. He was doing like that.
It wasn't a hold at all.
The catch technique or whatever they call it.
Yeah,
and they called it holding on that.
I figured it was something of the sort because I watched on the All-22. I was like, what was the flag on? Like, what the hell happened?
It was a huge play, man.
Funny enough, they didn't call the holding on Cooper DeJean when he was holding his whole arm down in the end zone when we should have had a touchdown earlier in that game. But
hey, you can, like I learned from Benjamin Albright, you can make this argument about the damn pick plays and everything like that. Like it's okay when Sean Payton does the pick play to get a first down, but Lord forbid Washington runs a pick play to get a touchdown, a legal one at that, and God forbid, that we do that because whenever Washington does it, it's a problem. When anyone else does it, that's good offense. It is what it is, but we just cannot do what everyone else does. And Lord knows if we try to do the tush push, we'd have more false start penalties than anybody in the league. You know what I'm saying? It's all relative, man. All right, everybody. We'll see you again on Friday. Thank you if you made it this far. You're a freaking champion. Thank you to the Colonel. Thank you, Deluxe. Thank you, Tim Towner. Thank you to guys commenting on YouTube, except for the guy who yelled, "Go Birds." You can go somewhere else. Your city smells. And forgive me, I don't mean
It
that.
actually really does. Honestly.
It does. All right, everybody. We'll see you again on Friday. Have a blessed Merry Christmas. God bless you all, and just be safe. All right. Hopefully you get whatever you're asking for or looking for. Hopefully your kids are very happy and excited. I know my son has. So like our son, we have a reward thing for him because he's been having trouble sleeping lately. So if he sleeps by himself all night, because he doesn't come into our bed, but like we have to sit in the chair with him and stuff. So if he sleeps in his bed all night, he gets these rewards every morning, and if he gets enough rewards stars, then he gets his Spider-Man camera that he wants really badly he wants it. He tells my wife today, he says, "Mom, it's okay if I don't get the rewards for the camera. You could just give it to me at Christmas." I was like, oh, thanks, pal. I appreciate that. And he really made me laugh the other day because he was playing doctor with my wife. And so he comes up, he's like, "Okay, patient, what's wrong?" And my wife is like, "I'm just so tired. I'm so tired. I haven't been getting much sleep." And he goes, "It's probably because your son keeps you up all night." she just started busting out laughing. I was like, for 4 years old, the self-awareness is there, man. I got to give it to the cat. All right, everybody. We'll see you again on Friday. I know I've tried to edit this 3 times, but my kids excite me. All right, everybody. We'll see you then. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
Goody.
And we'll see you then. Have a fantastic Merry Christmas. Washington football. Woo!
Peace.
What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram, or you can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.